Good morning. I'm Senator Susan Collins from Maine. I'm very pleased to be joined by my colleagues, Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, Senator Dan Coates of Indiana, and shortly Senator Kelly Ayotte from New Hampshire. Today we introduced a bill to strengthen the protections for data stored in computers in federal civilian agencies. In addition to Senators Warner, Senator Coates, Senator Ayotte, we're very pleased to be joined by Senator Mikulski and Senator McCaskill in our effort to strengthen the cybersecurity of our federal networks. The recent cyber attack that stole the sensitive personal data of more than 21 million current, former, and retired federal employees from the poorly secured databases at the Office of Personnel Management underscores the extraordinary vulnerability of computer networks in our federal civilian agencies. This cyber attack points to a broader problem: the glaring gaps in the process for protecting sensitive personal and economic information in federal agencies. Currently, while the Department of Homeland Security has the mandate to protect the .gov domain, it has only limited authority to do so. These civilian agencies, like OPM, IRS, the Patent Office, the Social Security Administration, CMS, which runs the Medicare program, are repositories of vast quantities of sensitive personal and economic data. And yet, information security incidents in the federal government have increased more than 12-fold from 5,500 in fiscal year 2006 to more than 67,000 in fiscal year 2014, according to the Government Accountability Office. Undoubtedly, the real number is much higher because this represents only those intrusions of which we are aware. Our bill takes 5 important steps to help solve this problem and strengthen the security of the networks of our federal civilian agencies. First, our bill would allow the Secretary of Homeland Security to operate intrusion detection and prevention capabilities in all federal agencies on the .gov domain without waiting for a request from a federal agency. Second, our bill would direct the Secretary to conduct risk assessments of any network within that domain. Third, our bill would allow the Secretary of Homeland Security to operate defensive countermeasures on these networks once a cyber threat has been detected. Fourth, our legislation would strengthen and streamline the authority Congress gave to DHS last year to issue binding operational directives to federal agencies, especially in response to substantial cybersecurity threats and in emergency circumstances when an intrusion is underway. Finally, our bill would require the Office of Management and Budget to report to Congress annually on the extent to which OMB has exercised its authority to enforce government-wide cybersecurity standards. The alternative to giving these authorities to DHS is essentially to continue the completely unacceptable status quo in which each agency, whether competently or incompetently, monitors its own networks and only requests assistance from DHS if it sees fit to do so. For the more than 21 million current, former, and retired federal employees affected by the breach at OPM, the threat from the theft of this information continues, not only for them, but for our country. Whether it is the risk to the individual of identity theft or the impact on our national security of the compromise of the identity of those dealing with classified information, or the potential for espionage or blackmail, the threat remains. DHS has the tools, the technology, the Cyber Center, and the privacy and civil liberties protections to be the leader for the .gov domain. It stands in stark contrast now to the authority that is given to NSA to protect our military and our intelligence agencies, where if the head of NSA believes that an agency has an insecure database, an unsecured database, he can order that database shut down. DHS needs to have similar authority to protect civilian networks in order to protect the privacy and security of personal data of Americans and to safeguard our country's economic edge. Clearly, there's no one law that can protect against every cyber hack. But by enacting this legislation, we will be in a far stronger position to detect and to reduce the likelihood of another cyber attack like the ones we've experienced at OPM.